what are the reasons for the denials? What are the main reasons people are not eligible?
Okay, so for the Government Unemployment Assistance Program, what we're seeing there is persons applying but not having, for example, if you're a straw vendor, we require you to have some evidence that you work in the straw market. You have an invoice from the Straw Market Authority, you may have a badge of some sort. And so what we saw were that people were applying with only their IDs. So they may submit a driver's license or a passport copy, nothing that showed that they had evidence of working where they should have worked. For the non-tourism sector, we do require a business license, except for bus drivers, where the public service driver's license or badge is the only thing that's required. And still in some cases, we would find that persons did not have a business license. So I am a carpenter, I've not been able to work, and you know, I need this funding, but I have nothing to show that I was ever formalized in the system. And so in some cases, they reapply with the documents, and so we're able to approve those. In some cases, the documents don't exist, and so we've had to deny them. As I said, for the bus drivers, we've made it very easy. Just give us your badge. That's all we need, and your, you know, your official ID, and then we can have you pass you through. Now, for the unemployment benefit program, that's the NIB unemployment benefit program. You may have workers, for example, who have recently started working. So they don't have the 52 weeks of employment necessary to benefit. And so they will not be eligible for the unemployment benefit program. They haven't paid sufficiently into the system for the benefit. And so those are some of the disqualifications that we're seeing.
And I guess
from ZNS, the long lines that NIB made headlines last week, can you say whether or not those lines have diminished? And can you also explain the app that the Prime Minister said NIB consumers can use to acquire money? Explain the name of it, and explain for those who may not have wanting to download an app on their phone, is it necessary for them to have this app on their phone in order to get money?
Okay, so the long lines are a result of social distancing, of physical spacing. So we have, at any point in time, we see well over 400 people per day at NIB. That's our norm flows. And so this is normal for us, but they're normally contained in seating areas and much closer together. And so we've actually seen a reduction in the number of people who have come to us every day because of a number of reasons. So I'll go into the numbers. We service about 100 persons coming inquiring about checks or picking up checks. Those net lines tend to dissipate around 2 p.m. I actually take pictures at around 2 p.m. to show, you know, those lines are gone. And so we're able to successfully service our clients, you know, in the morning hours. Many choose to come early. We're there until 4 o'clock. Our cashiers are open, but some choose to start at 6:30, and they come early to get in line, and then we open at 9 to see them, in order to get the checks to them. So that's the only process we have there, but we had to space out people to serve our customers safely. That's the rules, that's the requirements, and so they will be distanced. We only allow about 4 people at a time into our courtyard, and so the rest stand outside until we clear those who are in the courtyard areas. And I think that's been well organized. We are grateful for the assistance of the Defense Force, who have been helping people space. And as I said, by 2 o'clock, generally those lines are gone. The other thing is we would have had many, say longer lines, multiples of that line, had we not been innovative. And what we did initially was that unemployment benefit had to be collected by check in the past. That was our rule. That was the rule of NIB from the very beginning of unemployment, because there are some verifications that happen at that time. But we recognized that was not logical for a 17,000 projected number that we were likely to face. And so we changed our rules to allow for unemployment benefit to be dispersed via direct deposit. And so we changed our forms, the B82 form, in order to collect the banking data. And that's worked very well. Most people opt to collect you know, their payments via direct deposits, and certainly the majority, the far majority, have been doing it by direct deposit. There are people who don't have bank accounts, and so we recognized we had to do something for them as well. And so what we did was we partnered. We already had an RFP out for digital payment solutions back in, that was December. And so we sped that process up. We are working with the top candidates, and for this process, we knew we wanted an entity which had a physical location. So we used SunCash, and so that's the entity we are using for the Government Unemployment Assistance Program. And so they had physical offices throughout the Bahamas, really, and the Family Islands and New Providence, Grand Bahama. And also they had the ability to issue digital wallets. And so what we've done is, where you do not have a bank account, or you've given us incorrect information about your bank account and the bank has rejected the payment, we then send those funds to SunCash. And so SunCash then combs through the list that we send them. They onboard the persons by calling them. They have to make sure people have given them the correct phone numbers, the correct email addresses. These have all been challenges as well. And then they onboard them onto their platform, and they send them a voucher over their phones that gives them basically cash that they can spend, or they can come into the store and redeem for actual cash. And so people have been choosing to come in and redeem for cash, but they also have the option of working with their partner institutions to just, leave the voucher on their phone and spend it digitally. But some people have been coming in for cash. So that's been an innovation, an important innovation, which we've seen. We had projected to have that in place within 2 years. We now have it in place now. And I think as people get used to this, I don't think that they will want to go back to the check method.
If I could add just something on to that answer, I want to personally thank the managing director and the team at NIB. Yesterday I had occasion to see the situation in Barbados, which is, I always say, the country most comparable to us in a lot of ways in the Caribbean. And they, at least up until yesterday, still had 14,000 unemployment insurance, and they had not processed the first one. Whereas in the Bahamas, it has been 2 weeks since we processed the first one. And as the director said, we already paid, close to 17,000, 18,000 people, if not more, by this date. And so what I would encourage the press to do as they write these stories, I see a lot of stories talking about all of the things that didn't happen, but I see very little stories showing where we are compared to other places like Barbados or the great USA, where people still haven't gotten unemployment benefits. So I'm not going to try to editorialize for the press, but I would encourage the press to see where else is happening, and so they could really understand that NIB had to go to a point where they were dealing with a few dozen of these at best in a given week, having to deal with 18,000. And the only reports I'm seeing in the press is about the few people that are on a line, and it doesn't convey what has actually been accomplished by NIB. So if we want to talk about fair and balanced reporting, I think it's important for us to look at the full context. And in the story where we read the story that was run on the line, people on the line, I didn't see any feedback from NIB. I don't know if they couldn't reach NIB, but I didn't see NIB's participation in that story either. So I'm not here to preach, but I do think it's important that we also recognize what an incredible accomplishment NIB would have undertaken compared to its peers and compared to even countries big and small in getting this done. It would be nice to see that reflected in some of the writing.